Okay, how do we want to test these? We could apply a certain force and measure the deflection and have a deflection limit, but everybody wants to crash things. So we can set that up as either a fixed energy criteria and have it as a pass-fail, or we can vary the crash energy. Okay, let's look at the simple one first. If I support the beams between two bricks or blocks, so I'm creating something that looks like my three-point bending test, and then I smash them with a weight dropped from a fixed height, you could have a pass-fail criteria of if your beam touches the floor after it's crashed, then you fail. And the winner would be the lightest beam that didn't fail. Or I can do a cantilever test and not crash it, just figure out how much deflection I get for a certain load. Okay. If I want to vary the energy, I can use a pendulum, like what I showed you with the ring stand and the water bottle. And I can increase the height and figure out how much energy it takes to deflect my beam a certain amount. Okay. So I forgot to explain to you guys when I showed you the ring stand setup, I had a bottle of water, big gallon jug of water behind my cardboard box that was holding the beam. That was simply to keep the box from flying across the room when the water hit it. And I can do a variable energy drop test, and I'll show you two ways to do that. Okay. So when we were first coming up with this lab, we tried it this way, and there's Marlene. So what's wrong with this picture, right? I have somebody dropping that weight toward our victim here, but this is our other victim because we didn't think about the safety of that as fully as we probably should have. Although he does have his safety glasses on, so he'll probably just take it in the chin. So let me share some crash test ideas with you, and I'm going to skip through this video. Okay, this first one I showed you, so this is our ring stand pendulum setup, and here I've got my duct tape wrapped bricks as my backstop. Okay, so that's pretty simple to understand. Okay. This one we like a lot within the Teachers Camp community. So we call this the Spoler Smasher after Scott Spoler, who teaches down in Ohio. He's taken a piece of PVC pipe and drilled holes in it, and we put a bolt through the holes, and we just drop a mass down in there. If you have any old balance weights, they will do. I happen to have chunks of bar steel, nothing fancy here. Okay, so we're going to put our beam over our bricks, just like we would if we were going to three-point bend test this. And I always forget to put the thing in before I put it on top of my sample. I'm looking at what the mass is there. So you know from physics, if I know the mass and I know the height from which it dropped, I know the energy. Okay, so I can start out testing these beams from a low height, and I can increase the energy by reloading. So that was our pink styrofoam beam with no tape reinforcement. Okay, and you might notice I have a couple of different size chunks of steel there, so I can vary the mass as well as varying the height. But we like this one because it contains the damage, right? You don't want any students underneath where this weight is going to come crashing down. So with this one, I've got a fixed target, and I have hands and feet out from underneath that. And yes, we probably should have both been wearing safety glasses when we did that. Okay, this last one is a weight hanging from a string, and I just used a household ladder. Okay, so we are going to beat up on my lasagna noodle with duct tape here. So I've got two little broken pieces of paver from Home Depot that I got for free. Wrapped them in duct tape so I don't scratch anybody's lab tables or floors. And I didn't have calibrated masses at my house, so we're using a practice golf ball in a baggie attached to a string. So we're just going to lift that up and drop it. So again, by varying your mass and your height, you can vary the energy. Oh, let me back this up and we'll show you the lasagna. Okay, so my lasagna noodle after that impact was actually cracked on the noodle side, but the tape held it in place. So there would be a clear benefit of having that stressed skin composite or that duct tape on the noodle compared to just the raw noodle. Okay, and I happen to have a hand weight laying around the TV room, so we tried that too. So there's lots of ways to make this work. But one of the reasons that I was inspired to do this was I was doing a 3-point bend test lab on Rice Krispie treats with 5th grade girls, and we were hanging bags of pea gravel of known mass from the center of our Rice Krispie treats. And as they were all trying to observe what was happening, their feet were getting closer and closer to the zone that would have been the landing spot for the pea gravel. So I thought that it was worth it to spend a little bit of time showing you some ways to crash test without damaging things or people. All right, stop that. All right, so here's my prototype in my living room. Okay, so I tried to quickly introduce you to what's available in our curriculum module. If you have questions, feel free to get in touch with me. And if you'd like to know more about Nicole, our amputee, her project to run, bike, and swim from Seattle to San Diego to raise awareness for prosthetics is here at foreststump.org. And yes, she did name it after Run Forest Run with the blessings of Tom Hanks. So there's a short film about her journey that's been winning awards at film festivals. And she followed it up the next year by raising money to fund prosthetics for people in really underprivileged Southern American nations by climbing a 19,000-foot volcano. So there's a short clip on her website about that too. Okay, thanks for your attention. Bye.